Okay, we're going to go ahead and call to order this study session this evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And it looks like first is on the agenda is Holly Nash from Cache Grand Main Street. Welcome,
Hi.
Holly.
Is this on? Okay. Hi, I'm Holly Nash. I'm the Executive Director of Main Street. I've been there for officially 5 years now.
I don't know if it's on.
I think the mic's on.
Is it?
Mic's on. There you go.
Oh, just have to get real close.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess
Cool.
so.
Anyway, Holly Nash, Executive Director of Main Street. Been there for 5 years now. So just a quick overview. Main Street is a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are a recognized charity. We exist for the benefit of everyone, more or less. We are a nationally recognized Main Street, so a few of the things up there go with that. We have to have memberships, we have to have partnerships and support from a public entity, which we have through the city. We have to have a board of directors, and we have to have a fully employed director, which is me. Mission statement is up there. Basically, we promote economic vitality in the downtown district, foster partnerships, focus on historic preservation, and then work to make the vision happen, mixed uses, easily accessible, safe, all of that fun stuff. So we use those to guide basically a lot of what we do. My board of directors looks like it didn't format correctly, but it's okay. Andy Myers is our president, Matt Wallen, vice president, Esther Moreno, treasurer, Richard Rosales, secretary, Paula Lambert and Joe Leos are there. I am the executive director. And then I do have a part-time employee at 10 hours a week. I love her. Her name is Stephanie. But as you see, we are more or less a one-woman staff. Just a quick overview. I say quick, we do a lot. So here's some of the projects that we maintain: Neon Sign Park, Sunset Court mural with the Sunset Court sign, Rose Johnson murals on 4th Street, Doors to the Past on 3rd Street, Main Street mural in the alleyway, Main Street patio, and then we have historic buildings and signs on the local and national registries, which was done prior to me, but we do upkeep those as well. We host successful events, the Street Fair and Car Show. We have Terminus Days coming up. We have Celebra, Downtown Halloween Stroll, and then every year we throw in a couple of member support events, which go to directly help the different members, usually in their hardest time, so we usually focus on summertime. And then we create and fund new beautification preservation projects. Last year's was the Don Market sign, the new Doors to the Past, so technically a maintenance program, but also we put up now 8 new doors. And then we updated the History Walk booklet with a digital flip book. The last one had been updated in 2017, so the Neon Sign Park was not in it, Don Market sign was not in it, the Doors to the Past were not current, so we updated all of that. And here's a couple of them. The Cactus Mine door is not up yet. We just got that one back. But the Don Market sign, you can see it from start to finish. And for anyone who doesn't know, the doors are the corner, northeast corner of 3rd Street and Florence Street. So the annual street fair, we begin planning usually July. It's a very long endeavor. It takes us about 450 plus hours to plan it, host it, and I say us, again, it's mostly me. Stephanie is there when I need her for her 10 hours, but I feel that that's very critical because we do not get to hire somebody out. It is all on the staff to plan, keep up with. We do have volunteers who work the event for us, and we have a couple that help us coordinate it, but for the most part, it's all in-house. Last year, or this year, we had 248 vehicles registered, 115 vendor booths, about 30 to 40,000 attendees over the 2 days. We had live entertainment and we had an expanded family zone. The cost is about $28,000 to $35,000 each year, so not a cheap event to host. We do bring that cost down by planning it in-house. If we were to find somebody to coordinate it, it would probably be another $20,000 to $30,000. The Downtown Halloween Stroll, we began in 2020 just purely as a trick-or-treat trail. Now it's probably our second biggest event. We get 3,000 to 4,000 kids with 7,000 to 8,000 attendees through. Florence Street's closed, 4th Street's closed, 3rd Street. We have over 50 participants, as you can see, and every year it grows. It takes us about 75 to 80 hours to plan. Kind of runs itself now, but still a lot of administrative coordination that goes with it. And this event is purely just trick-or-treating for the kids. So there's no vendors. I think we have 2 food trucks that come out, but really it's just a big fun like block party for the community. So our member support events, they change every year. This year we had 2. We had the summertime dinner roll and the Small Business Saturday dinner roll, and then we had mini golf over at Throwback because they were a Main Street member. So in order to assist them, we rented a mini golf course, and we had about 50 attendees in there, so it was a lot of attendance for their business at the time. The dinner roll, we put about $2,000 directly back into the businesses who were featured in it. We had 20 to 30 attendees both times, and basically you ride a bicycle and you get dinner progressively throughout the time. It had really great feedback, and like I said, it was the June one, very hard time for small businesses, and then Small Business Saturday, we did it again. Celebra is a very popular and growing event. We partner with the City of Casa Grande Community Service Department, the Arts and Cultures Commission, and then LFI. So it all kind of started because we all wanted a grant and we planned this event, and now it's just kind of grown and grown. Definitely seeing probably closer to the 3,000 attendees now. Again, just a big celebration. We don't do it to make any of the money on it. Our contribution is about $3,200, and that's just our end of it. And then our planning side of it is about 50 hours. I know the city kicks in probably 6,000 to 8,000 on that, plus LFI. So it's definitely a big event, very good partnership on that event. And you can see all the different activities that we have. So there's really something for everyone there. This year's is the last Friday of September. I think it's like the 26th. So that one's already started being planned as well. Another portion is fostering meaningful partnerships. As stated, City of Casa Grande, Community Services and Arts and Cultures we highlight because we do host a lot of We'll Celebrate with them. We're partnering for Terminus Days with the Commission as well, LFI for the Celebra. Partner with Black Box Foundation a lot. They help us with the street fair. We do different karaoke events over there, try and get the kids involved when they can for shows when it comes to like street fair and different platforms. Food Truck Friday, we partner with them. We pay for advertising, we pay for a porta potty. They host it in the gravel lot at the Neon Sign Park every week. We partner with Art Mobile a lot as far as different community art projects, and basically whenever, if we have something she's interested in, she hits me up. So Terminus Days, she's funding a lot of it. We partner with Pinal County. We get a lot of grants through Explore Pinal County. I think they've funded every event except for the Halloween stroll this year. The DMO is the same thing. We get grants through the Chamber of Commerce and DMO for our events. Casa Collective we're partnering with them again this year for a 5K run in November. And then the Casa Grande Rotary Club, we partnered with them to get Oktoberfest up and going. Thankfully, they can run it all on their own, but it was a collaboration to get that event up and running. As far as Main Street programs, we have the Downtown Summer Reading Program. It is designed to put kids and families into the businesses during the summertime, which is their hardest time. Last year, we had about 20 kids go through it, so something small, but it's very nice for the different families and the businesses just to get the kids in there. We hosted The More You Know in the summer of 2023, which is just a business. We did P&Ls, we did how to read leases, what licensing you need for the city to start a business, different things like that. The summer of 2022, the Aspiring Entrepreneurs Workshop was basically the same thing. And then this year, probably in May, not the summer, but we're opening a retail incubator in Space 108, which is 108 West 2nd Street, right next to us. And that is going to be to give a small business who can't afford like their own brick and mortar a good start. And the goal is that they will grow and then grow into their own space. But we've found that a lot of retail wants to come downtown, they just can't afford to come downtown. So giving them a small space to start. We'll be operating it. We'll pay the utilities, insurance. We'll fully staff it. But we will walk them through the process of city business licensing, tax licensing, helping them learn how to use a POS system and how to market their items. On the advertising portion, our budget is not excessive, so those numbers might not look big, but I promise they are. We, last year was about $10,000 in advertising. These do not include event advertisements. If we included events, it would probably be about double that. This year we're right at 7,100. Looks like we'll hit about 12,000. We do a lot digitally, so our followers might not be huge, but our reach, those are low numbers too, because that wasn't during Street Fair. But we do have a very large social media reach. We've done 2 segments on the ABC 15 Sonoran Living. We did one for the Neon Sign Park and one for the Street Fair. So statewide publicity is always good. As far as print advertising, we do 4 issues of the Arizona Drive Guide, the Ropes and Ranch book, the 2025 Casa Grande Visitors Guide, 2024 Explore Pinal County. We've done 4 issues of Pinal Ways, usually keep that up. We did the home for the holiday section, which was for Small Business Saturday. And then we're doing the newest street guide as well. And again, those are all the downtown district. So we don't feature a business specifically, but we promote the entire district, whether it be all of the businesses or the different projects. We don't typically use it to promote the events by themselves. As far as community involvement, we believe that if we want people to be involved, we have to be involved. I say we, me. Casa Grande, we do keep Casa Grande beautiful. I have a seat on the DMO advisory board. I taught some public speaking classes at the Black Box Summer Camp. I'm an advisor on the Youth Commission. We've done booths at the Plein Air competition. I spoke at the Governor's Conference on Tourism in 2023, and then I spoke at the Rural Policy Forum in 2022. Here are our upcoming events. Terminus Days is our newest one. That is April 12th. It is a history and heritage event. Downtown Dinner Roll is June 7th. Celebra is September 26th. Halloween Stroll is October 25th. The Neon Fun Run, which is the new one with Casa Collective, is in November. And then the Downtown Dinner Roll, November 29th. The 25th annual Street Fair is January 17th and 18th. And our upcoming projects, we are still working to update the History Walk booklet so that we can add the Dawn Market sign and updated historic sites. And then the Space 108 Retail Incubator, it's a little bit more on it, so about 8 to 12 vendors. We'll be providing retail downtown, fully staffing with insurance, POS systems, paying the transaction tax, all of that. And then startup cost for the first year is about $45,000. We are funding it entirely through Main Street, so we'll pool about $35,000 from our investment account, and then the other $10,000 will be from the vendors throughout the year. Here's a look at our budget. 2024 was $165,000 in revenues, about $145,000 in expenditures. You can see it break down as to what it's spent on. We rolled over $12,000 for the Dawn Market sign specifically, and then about $9,200 for project maintenance. $9,200 does not fund the full project maintenance. As you can see, project maintenance is between $11,000 and $16,000. This year, we expected that to go up, and it has. Our staffing will go up because of Space 108. We have to fully staff it, so that'll reflect that. Staffing costs do include payroll and taxes, so it's not just payroll. And then we expect to roll over about $15,000 into next fiscal year to continue to fund the Space 108 project. I know that was a lot, but I do a lot. So I will answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Any questions, comments from anyone?
Wonderful job down there. Really nice downtown. And I know we have a lot of events, and I've been to a couple of them. Been very nice too. And so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, Matt,
Can you go back to that?
budget?
Yes. And so you said on staffing, you're only going up like 10,000? Is that going to be enough for the Space 108? I mean,
So this
I
is
guess we're only half.
Yeah, so
half
this
the
is
year.
only, this is fiscal year 25, 26 will reflect an even higher,
Okay.
yeah.
That's why I just want to, because we're just getting that couple months. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, we're not totally sure. We have hours relatively set, but they might fluctuate. So
Are you-
then that staffing cost
but
would
you're going to have a
fluctuate.
full-time.
Employee to run the store, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I think that's an exciting opportunity, and I'm glad that you guys are doing that. It's something else to promote and get people more involved downtown. And to echo Mr. Edwards' comments as well, doing a great job with a lot with a little down there. So,
Thank you.
you know, it really shows in town, and people always ask, whose event? You know, it's like, no, is that the city's? No, that's Main Street's event. Or, you know, we do partner a lot, obviously, but I mean, you do a lot of the heavy lifting for some of the biggest events. So, and I get to work with her on the youth commission too. She volunteers a lot of time with that as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Comments, questions?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
want to say I was really impressed with the street fair. Every year it seems like it gets more and more attention and more people show up. And I was really impressed with the numbers that you had on the attendance this year. I was like very impressed. That was a
Yeah.
very, very huge event for the city, and it really showcases the downtown. So I really like that.
Yeah, it's definitely grown. 2021 was the biggest, no, 2022's was the biggest, and it's just gotten bigger every year. We used to have like 70 vehicles in the Car and Bike Show, and then for some reason in 2022, everyone was in it. So now we're at the 250. And attendance had been about 25,000. And then we use Placer AI to give us the numbers, and it's right around that 30 to 40, just depending on the year.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
And Holly, I did want to thank you for everything, because you're right, over the years, you know, some of us have been on the council for a while, and we've seen the growth over the years, and you've done a great job. And I've been to many of these events, the car show, or the street fair, fantastic day. Thank goodness we had beautiful weather that day.
Oh, thank God.
Same with the Halloween show, the Celebra. I mean, it's just, they were just great events. And this is what the people of Casa Grande want. You know, this is, you know, what makes it different. And we have to remember that our downtown is our jewel. I mean, this is something that we have that some cities don't, and so we have to continue to celebrate that and promote it. And so I'm happy to see that you're trying new things, you know, with the incubator, see how that goes. But just want to thank you for all of your hard work and dedication. I've seen you at those events, working very, very hard. So yeah, so thank you, and thanks for volunteering on the Youth Commission too.
Yeah, of
We
course.
appreciate it.
Love those
Thank you.
kids.
Thank you.
You do amazing. I mean, I love the events down there and what you've done. I love the artwork, and I feel like you've just made such a difference for the community with what you're doing. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. One more
That's
comment? Sure.
Yeah. I was thinking, do you have any insights on new businesses opening down there yet that you can share? I know there's some exciting stuff, but do you have any?
I don't know if I want to steal Mike's thunder. So Pour Therapy, you know, is the big one. I think that was this summer they're looking into opening. Feed Right Pet Food has moved from Marshall Street to Florence Street, and then there is a co-op, more or less, of different goodies. I think it's called Meats and Sweets, going in their old spot on Marshall Street. Other than that, Florence Street is relatively full as far as like storefronts go, which is a first since I've been there.
Which I know isn't really your job, but it is.
Oh yeah, I do
You
my
know,
best to
You're
keep
not
up.
you're not a leasing agent by any means, but I know that you help a lot with that. And then I'll set you up here. I mean, is there anything else you need, like that you didn't really mention anything in your?
I mean, we don't. If we would like Main Street to grow, we definitely need more funding. At the end of the day, it's a passion project for me. If I decided to only take, you know, a 9-to-5 schedule, half this would not get done. So, and I mean, I would love to be able to apply for more grants, and obviously events are important to the community, but we only have so much time. So we definitely need additional staffing, or additional funding to pay an event coordinator. As I mentioned, we don't do coordinators just because fiscal responsibility. I worked really hard to get us out of the negatives, so we are finally in the positives. And part of that is that we take on a lot of the workload. We don't have the ability to to hire out, even for advertising. We do most of the ad creation on Canva in-house, or we have somebody donate their time. So it's kind of one of those. If you want us to grow, we would love more funding. If we're content, then.
You
I just
asked.
had to
You
ask.
asked.
I mean,
I'm not gonna say I didn't know the answer, but
Thank you,
You're
Holly.
welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Larry, what do you, on the next one? Oh, Paul?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
I know that Paul Tice wants to give a bit of an introduction before we hand it over to our consulting team of J2, but we're back this evening to have some discussion on the Florence Boulevard Streetscape Design Concept Report. And I know this is a topic that we've brought before council. We've vetted in our community in the past, but I'll let Paul give a bit of an update and an overview before we hand the baton.
Thanks, Larry. So, Madam Mayor, members of council, tonight we would like to brief council on what we call the final draft of the Florence Boulevard Design Concept Report. As I was reflecting on this presentation and preparing for it, I realized that we've been working on this project for a while now. It's been a lot of effort's gone into it on a lot of different fronts. I know this is probably, I think, the third council briefing that we've made on this project. And so tonight, we'd like to let council know where we are on the project, gives you some more in-depth detail, talk to you a little bit about the changes that the project has gone through as we've worked through it and through the public input and stakeholder processes. And we do have it scheduled for a planning commission this Thursday for a formal public hearing, and asked planning commission to make a formal recommendation to city council on a recommendation for adoption of the Florence Boulevard Design Concept Report. Then the current schedule is to bring it back to city council, the first meeting in April, for your formal consideration. But for tonight, it's a briefing. We're happy to get any further input that you might give us, any further guidance that we can use to make our final revisions and fine tuning of the document. The genesis of this project really started with the Urban Land Institute Technical Assistance Panel that was gathered together to look at our Main Street that Holly just described in our whole Main Street area. And I know that I believe Mayor Fitzgibbons and Mayor Pro Tem Herman were both participated in that process, and so you might recall that. But some of the recommendations that came out of the ULI panel were, one, to create a stronger connection between the historic downtown and the adjacent Florence Boulevard commercial corridor. I mean, sometimes when people ask me, where's the downtown, we kind of have the historic downtown that Holly just described for us, and then we sort of have the commercial Florence Boulevard corridor. But we needed to link those to make a stronger connection. The other recommendation from the ULI was from our general plan, which we were about to embark on a new general plan process for our 2030 general plan, was to create a specific land use category for our downtown to do certain things to make our downtown more vibrant and energize it as much as we could. And then the third recommendation out of the ULI was really to create a nice entryway feature that welcomes people to our downtown Casa Grande. We do have an entryway feature there today. It's nice and it reflects our past, but as you'll see, this project proposes a more modern entryway sign that links us to our Neon Park design as well. So ULI, Technical Assistance Panel, is where it kind of started. We followed that up with the general plan that, as you know, was voted on by the residents and ratified by the public with a plus 80% vote and adopted by both Planning Commission and City Council. And in that general plan, we did create a downtown land use category for the first time. And that really expanded the downtown to Florence Boulevard and even north of Florence Boulevard by about a block or two between Brown and Pinal. So that's kind of the segment in the general plan category. The general plan goes on to talk about specific design and development standards that we should be imposing and creating for our downtown. You can see a few on the screen. But in addition to that, the general plan, in addition to those general ones, the general plan included these design standards to design our streets to accommodate pedestrians, cyclists, automobiles, transit, autonomous vehicles, and ride share, some future thinking kind of design elements, sidewalks with decorative pavement, some additional parking, street trees, planters, decorative or alternative street paving and ribbons, and some additional dedicated parking. The plan goes on to set forth these 4 specific action steps that we should take to implement some of the recommendations of our downtown land use category. There are others, but I just wanted to focus on these 4 because I thought they were the most relevant. And actually just the bottom 2, action step D 4.3, to develop specific downtown street design standards to encourage pedestrian-friendly and urban-scale streets, and action step D 4.4, to develop decorative and alternative street paving designs and plans. Streets should utilize alternative materials, safe crosswalks, and pedestrian areas should be a point of emphasis. I think you'll see that the Florence Boulevard Design Concept Report implements all of these action steps, really to a T. Our goal is to implement those recommendations of the council and citizen-approved general plan. And then that take us to the City Council strategic plan, which kind of built on that. And we just talked about those last week, I know, or week before maybe. The community connection, to create an image to attract residents to visit and live in Casa Grande, with the specific goal to develop the Florence Boulevard corridor plan. On community enhancement, we have the specific strategic goal to plan and execute city entrance sign improvements. You'll see that the Florence Boulevard Design Concept Report has 2 signages. We bookend each end of the corridor. We have a downtown entranceway from the west, and we have one from the east when you come off the interstate. So 2 entranceway signs to implement that portion of the strategic plan. You have some other strategic objectives for economic expansion and healthy and safe communities that we think the design concept report further supports and implements as well. In terms of our stakeholder process and our citizen input, the first thing we did is we went kind of general with a web survey on the city website asking citizens. We gave some information about downtown and asked what they would like to see. You can see some of the comments that we received from that effort. We created a steering committee to help give staff some guidance and direction. The steering committee had representatives from the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Main Street, Florence Boulevard businesses, and citizens at large. We did meet with that group probably 5 or 6 times to get some input into the direction the plan should be taking. And they did give us some good direction that we took to heart. The next phase of our stakeholder process was a formal public open house held right here in this room back in December of 22. For that effort, we actually mailed postcards inviting all the property owners and all the business owners in the entire corridor about the open house, invited them to come and look at our preliminary design work and give us some input. 65 persons did attend that. They gave us comment cards. 58% were positive. We kind of categorized them, 23% negative and 19% neutral. I believe in your RCA, I may have attached the document that gave you the specific comments that we received. But one of the things that we had heard is that we want that, and I think it was as a result of some council input, is to provide for some additional public input from those business owners in the downtown segment. So we did so. We invited all the business owners and property owners within the downtown segment, which at that time was from Treckle to Pinal, to another open house to talk to us about their concerns or support, whatever issues or comments they might have on the preliminary design. 17 of those property owners did show up. We offered 3 sessions during the day. And I'm going to say that it's one of the things we did here pretty consistently from the downtown business owners was they questioned the ability of the downtown segment to handle the existing and future traffic with a 3-lane configuration. As you know, today we call it a 5-lane, 2 through lanes in each direction, a continuous left turn lane. At that time, the plan was proposing to reduce the lanes in the downtown segment to 1 in each direction with a turn lane. And so there was questions about whether or not that we could actually handle the traffic through that segment with that kind of lane configuration. I'll tell you that as a result of that, our traffic engineering group and city engineering group did some traffic modeling. They hired a traffic consultant to do some modeling to try to answer that question. And the answer that they came up with was, yeah, the 3-lane configuration will work to handle our anticipated traffic today and in the foreseeable future. But I'm going to tell you, I'll just flash forward in a second and tell you that the plan that we're proposing today, that DCR, actually has 2 options. It has the option to leave Florence Boulevard in its current configuration with 5 through lanes, and that's option A, and option B is to reduce it to a 3-lane configuration. We don't really need to make a decision at this point on which option to pursue. We have the ability to make that decision when we're ready to make those changes in the downtown segment and do some civil design work and take additional public input into that process and look at an additional traffic study as well to really see which is the best option for us. But we're going to talk about those in a little more detail as we move forward this presentation this evening. One of the big design intents for the Florence Boulevard Design Concept Report was to accommodate multimodal transportation. What that means is we wanted to better accommodate pedestrians on the sidewalk. We wanted to better accommodate those folks who are using alternative modes of transportation. And I know, I assume that you, like I, have been seeing folks driving motorized wheelchairs down Florence Boulevard, scooters, bicycles, those alternative modes of transportation, which are good, but they're not really in that safe of an environment today. We wanted to make it safer for folks to be able to use those alternative modes. So we thought about that, and it was a big part of our design consideration. It wasn't difficult to create a design to accommodate multimodal in much of the corridor because Florence Boulevard was classified as a principal arterial in our major thoroughfare plan, which means as new development occurred, we asked for right-of-way to get 140 feet of right-of-way, 70 feet from the center line. So we were creating a corridor with 140 feet of right-of-way, especially down on the eastern end where there were green fields and the new development was happening. The middle section, which we called the Midtown, had granted some right-of-way. I think at one point our standard was 110, and so some of that was 110, some was 140. But when we got to the downtown segment, we realized we had some significant right-of-way constraints. And not only were they, properties that hadn't dedicated right-of-way. I'll give this building as an example. Our property line for this building is in the middle of the road. There is no dedicated right-of-way for this building. That's not unusual. That happens in certain other areas. But also what was not unusual was to find encroachments into our right-of-way that had been dedicated. And we had building encroachments and we had parking lot encroachments into our right-of-way that really constrained our use. And an example might be Little Sombreros. I know it's not Little Sombreros anymore, across the road. Their whole front patio is in our right-of-way. Jimmy Kerr Little Shopping Center, our right-of-way is in the middle of that parking lot. Half that parking lot is in our right-of-way. So there were a lot of right-of-way encroachments. And so that created a design constraint for us. And so as we went into revising the DCR, we made some revisions, specifically in the downtown segment. First thing we did is we pulled it back from Treckle to Brown, because there was some comment that it was too long, so we did pull it back to Brown on the western end and Arbor on the east. And then we created those two design concepts, so two options for lane configuration that I mentioned. The one, keeping the existing 5-lane configuration, but frankly, because of those constraints that I just mentioned, we can't do a bike lane in that downtown segment. We can't fit it in. Sidewalk cannot be expanded to the level that we wanted it to. We wanted wide sidewalks, not only for pedestrians, but for businesses to do outside patios with seating and those kinds of things, outside dining. Landscaping and artwork are significantly reduced, although we have worked some into the design, as you'll see, and additional on-street parking is very limited. For the 3-lane option, we are able to, really beef up those improvements because essentially we're reducing 22 feet of asphalt that now we can free up for bike lanes, sidewalks, landscaping, etc. So we still have those two options on the table in the report. As I mentioned, we don't have to make a decision on those tonight. It'll be some point in the future with additional public input and stakeholder processes. But I will tell you, the one option that we don't have on the table, option C, was one where we went to remove those encroachments out of our right-of-way to free up the additional room that we need for those site amenities while keeping the 5-lane configuration in place. So either of these options, basically, we live with the encroachments that are there today. We don't press to remove them out of our public right-of-way unless that works for the property owner who has those. The other big change was in the freeway segment, which is from Hennis to the interstate. We increased the lanes from 4 to 6. As I mentioned, that kind of was the vision for the whole Florence Boulevard corridor at some point, was to have 6 lanes. We don't think we need 6 lanes the whole way, but we do think we need them from I-10 to Hennis. That's where we have the highest traffic volumes. That's where we have the highest potential for new development with high traffic generators. So the plan does propose to accommodate a 6-lane design through the freeway segment. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the report. So that's a wrap for me for my introductory comments. At this point, what I'd like to do is hand it over to Jeff Vasquez from J2, who is an engineering and environmental design firm that we put under contract to assist us with this effort. They've had a lot of experience in this kind of work. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff and ask him to walk you through some of the more details on the design elements.
Thank you, Paul. Mayor Fitzgibbons, members of the council, thank you for your time tonight for us to be able to present this synopsis of the DCR for you. We'll try to be brief for you and be respectful of your time. Very good intro. Thank you so much. Really, as Paul had mentioned, this is really supposed to be transformative. This 4-mile corridor over from basically Pinal east to the freeway zone is intended to be kind of the main spine here, the entry along Florence. And so what we're trying to do is incorporate all those great elements, street layout, landscape, hardscape, parking, signage, for economic development, for pedestrians, for bicyclists, and certainly for the traveling vehicular public as well, to be a draw. So, oops, I'm going the wrong way here. So in terms of some of the general ideas that we've been going over here the last couple of years as we've developed this DCR is we've looked at many different elements. Won't spend a ton of time on each of these, but lighting is one of them. Certainly we want a safer corridor. So roadway lighting, taller roadway lighting with lower level pedestrian lighting is something that we want to incorporate. LED, energy efficient. The elements on the top are photos that you'll see in the DCR. On the bottom, showing how those might be incorporated along the Florence Boulevard corridor. Design elements and pavement, going back to the general plan outline, basically we want to encourage different elements to be real clear about pedestrian travel zones. We want to enhance the intersections. We'd like to do stamped asphalt with reflective coatings to cool the intersections and use that current technology. But certainly down the middle, travel lanes, doing stamped asphalt for some of those center turn lanes to really bring aesthetics to the downtown area. And certainly to have separated bike lanes would be a wonderful element in terms of the pavement. Art can be a wonderful driver for any downtown, and some of the photos you see on the top left are different elements that have been done around the valley and around the state. Certainly incorporating art into the Florence Boulevard corridor would be wonderful, and whether that is in shade structures like the top right sketch, or tables in the top right there where you have tiled elements in pedestrian crossing areas or bump out areas, or even hearkening back to the neon sign park in the lower right photo. Those elements would all be designed, with a final engineering project. But the incorporation of art we think is important for the placemaking aspect along Florence. And signage, certainly very important. Photos on the left, different elements that have been done around the state. The images on the right are what we think could be a driver for a sign at the east at the freeway entrance from the freeway zone, and at the west in the downtown zone at the 5 Points location. And that could even, with LED lighting or even neon, you could harken back to the neon sign park and really kind of bring out that destination element in some of these designs. Seating, shade, site amenities, we think all of those are really important. Even plinths like the middle photo on the top, having areas where you could actually rotate art in the corner pedestrian areas would be a nice amenity. On the bottom, the two sketches there show 3D renderings of how shade structure and seating and shade could be implemented in some of those pedestrian zones as well. So, the three segments, basically working east to west. We divided the DCR into the freeway zone from I-10 to Hennis. The Midtown zone goes from Hennis over to about Brown, and then the downtown zone goes from Brown over to Arbor. Used to go to Pinell, we shortened that a little bit. And in terms of length, the freeway zone is about 1 mile. The Midtown zone is about 2.5 miles. Downtown zone a little less than 0.5 mile in length. I'll go through these one at a time. So with the freeway zone, we think the announcement of coming into this corridor is important at the east of the freeway zone. So somewhere on the north side towards the freeway, we would, within city right-of-way, incorporate a welcome to Casa Grande element and sign that would be lit at night and really kind of give a nice welcoming to the corridor. In the foreground, you'll see 3 lanes in each direction at the freeway zone with curb cuts there in the landscape zone near the street there. That would be a potential for water harvesting to take the first flush of waters and oils off of the street into the planting zone, and that kind of cleans that out, gets trees deep watered, helps with your storm drain infrastructure, and certainly gives a better landscape product long term for your trees, deep watering. The freeway zone, just kind of a quick synopsis here. You see 3 lanes in each direction. It's really kind of a 7-lane profile with the middle median turn lane. There would be turn lanes engineered in during final design, working with city staff and engineering. We would have mid-block crosswalks, as you see there in the orange, with a stamped asphalt pavement system to be effective. You would have a robust street tree system. Of course, we would kind of work with existing signs and businesses to make sure we're not impeding that, so we would be able to thin this out a little bit where appropriate. But we would have a 10-foot wide separated walk on the north side, and on the south side of the street, a 6-foot wide separated, 10-foot wide pedestrian walk. In the green, you'll see a separated bike lane, 6 foot on both sides, north and south. that bike lane would have a curb or a DG element that separates that for safety for bike riders. And we're trying to get everybody comfortable here, from electric wheelchairs to people in walkers, strollers, bicyclists, and just general people walking and jogging. These are some 3D images, sketches of how that Hennis to I-10 freeway zone would look. Top left is a plan view, kind of with a landscape schematic. Top right showing the bike lane with that kind of stormwater harvesting median for safety. Wide sidewalk on the top right. And lower right showing 3 lanes eastbound, and the lower left image showing kind of that full lane capacity with the turn lane in action. The Midtown zone goes from Hennis to Brown, and in the Midtown zone, we've studied traffic quite a bit with city staff and consultants. In the Midtown zone, we do feel that there is a very good reason to go down to the 4-lane zone plus 1, the middle turn lane. So that would be a 4-lane scenario. We call it a 5-lane scenario, I guess, if you will, with that middle turn lane shown with a landscape median. We have it pretty packed with trees here, but those median cuts would be strategically located engineering-wise during final design. We have an 8-foot pedestrian sidewalk on the north side. There is a 10-foot walk on the south side. We're kind of now in the Midtown zone dealing with buildings and restaurants closer to the street, so we're kind of working with that constraint. But this works really well to the Midtown zone. You'll see areas where bus stops, where the link can maneuver, and you do see the separated bike lane throughout this corridor. At the intersection, you'll see how the bike lane kind of works in the green to get you across the street, and that stamped asphalt treatment could be themed at every major intersection throughout the corridor. These are some images of Brown to Hennis in the Midtown zone of how that area could look. The downtown zone. As Paul was saying, we've heard a lot of opinion, and we decided to, in the DCR, have both options presented to you. So there is a 5-lane and a 3-lane option for the downtown zone. The 5-lane option has 4 through lanes. We call it a 5-lane because of the middle turn lane, of course. We could always stamp that in an asphalt if we wanted. We don't have that shown here, but at each intersection we would like to theme these still and have stamped asphalt, reflective cooling coatings on some of these crosswalk areas. And street tree system isn't quite as robust on the 5 as the 3, but you can get some street trees into the 5-lane zone. We don't get the bike lanes here because of the elements that Paul had discussed on the right-of-way being constrained and 5 lanes of asphalt, but you do have an improved scenario. On the downtown zone, we do think that at the 5 points, as mentioned, at the far west, we do think that there is good reason to have that entry monument there, welcome you in from the west side. So here is a 3D kind of image character for the 5-lane option. This is looking east from the Pinell zone. And then some before and after shots you'll see of both the 5-lane and 3-lane option at the same location. So there's some areas where we're just kind of constrained, you can't get a ton of trees, but you can still get a little bit of landscape in. At the crosswalks, you'll see, ADA improvements would take place throughout. You would get it to federal guidelines, federal standards, and crossings would be narrowed in either scenario. The downtown zone 3-lane option, you've seen this from the past. Really, it's 2 lanes, 1 in each direction with a middle turn lane to facilitate traffic. Again, themed intersections. You would get the bike lanes here and a pretty robust street tree system. And you do get a little bit of parking. I think in the 3-lane option, we have upwards of 60 to 70 parking spaces added to the downtown zone. We only have a few spaces added on the 5-lane zone, something to keep in mind. So on the road right sizing going down to 3, of course, we presented this before, but enhanced safety, multimodal aspects, bicyclists, skateboarders, wheelchairs, expanded sidewalks, local economy boost, resilient infrastructure, improved user experience, aesthetics, in terms of imageability. Data on the safety of the 3-lane scenario, on that right sizing, reducing collisions, reducing fatalities as an element, pedestrian activity increased, and bicycle trips increased is something that we're trying to get to. Some quick elements on the 3-lane versus 5-lane comparison. The road capacity, lanes stay the same. They're about 11'6" wide on the travel lanes and 12 foot on the middle lane. We're keeping it at 11'6" because we don't want them too wide, because you encourage people to speed and we want safety in the downtown core. Pedestrian zones a little bit wider, of course, on the 3-lane. The intersection nodes are significant. Those crosswalks there on the 3-lane concept are about 35 foot, which is probably about from where you're sitting to me. It's 56 foot, another 21 feet, which is from you probably to Holly or a little bit beyond. So it is a little bit easier to cross on a 3-lane scenario, of course, for a economic shopping district. Bike lanes, of course, you don't get them in the 5-lane. Street trees, again, are more robust on the 3-lane. Image and character of the 3-lane option. And as Paul had mentioned, we're not asking on a vote either way. The first segment that the staff is recommending is the freeway zone to the east, but we thought we would include both concepts for you in this DCR. And then the before-afters, similar to the ones you saw for the 5-lane, are incorporated here in this presentation and the DCR for the 3-lane. And you can see bike lanes come back, a little more landscaping comes in. Some of the off-site parking areas could be enhanced. Economic incubators, like you see on the left, could be brought into those pedestrian zones. Even turn lane queuing could be accommodated for some of the drive-through zones. And of course, ADA improvements and access and just more pedestrian zone. And at the 5 Points area, we think that should be enhanced. And we think that even if you do build a freeway zone first, this would be a really good element to incorporate into that freeway zone if you do. So next steps, go to Planning Commission on Thursday the 6th this week. We come back to you for a vote approval on the 7th of April, and then there'll be design and construction plans put out by the city for an RFQ for most likely the freeway zone based on staff recommendation, and additional stakeholder process with business property owners and CIP considerations would occur at that time. Again, trying to get transformative corridor here, and we appreciate any questions or comments that you have.
Mayor, before you open it up for comments, Dwayne Attell has been working on ways that we might be able to enhance our future stakeholder process and public engagement on this project as well as others, for example, as we move into the civil design stage. And Dwayne has some information, a short piece that he'd like to share with council to talk about some of the concepts that he's been working on to improve stakeholder process and community engagement, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Paul. Mayor, council members. I've mentioned artificial intelligence and public involvement a few times. And this is a short demo on using our interactive map that's on the website, how we could use AI to enhance the experience of doing that. Excuse me. It's just one step in a lot of different public involvement plans we have for AI. You know, a project like this, let's talk about the 3-lane and the 5-lane. You hear a lot of people that are against the 5-lane, but you don't hear a lot of the people for the 3-lane. So we want to use public involvement and find out what really is the public's idea of this. So you can play that, Steve. This is just kind of showing how it's going to work. You can click on those buttons and get all kinds of information. This has sound, but
of this urban corridor will ensure that it continues to serve as a significant commerce destination.
We started over.
Started over, yeah, just so it's not that long, so maybe we.
We actually put it up on the website. There'll be a lot more tutorial on that. Just wanted something real quick tonight.
The Florence Boulevard corridor has been a lifeline corridor and should be celebrated as a great streetscape for decades to come. The revitalization of this urban corridor will ensure that it continues to serve as a significant commerce destination.
So what are your questions?
Anyone have questions for Dwayne right now? No, I just appreciate that you looking to find ways to have that engagement and outreach. And Jeff, I wanted to thank you, all of you, because we have been here. We know this is something that you've been working on for several years, and Paul. So thank you. You know, we're at this point today, and I think Larry's going to kind of give an explanation a little bit on, I know you said moving forward, we're just going to approve the conceptual designs, correct? We're not going to choose A or B well, nothing today, but as far as when it goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission on Thursday, what are they going to approve and bring forward to us?
So, Madam Mayor, if I may, I'll try to answer your question. So on April 7th, we're going to ask council to adopt the Florence Boulevard DCR kind of in its current form, which for the downtown segment has both option A and option B for the lane configuration, the 3 and the 5. The next steps, if it is adopted, if council adopts the DCR, our next steps will then be to try to implement certain aspects of it. What staff is thinking right now is that we would like to start with our first implementation on the east end, the freeway segment. So what that means is we'll pick a part of that, and it's a mile. I don't know if we could do the whole mile, so let's just say the first half mile we choose. We would then engage into what we'll call the civil design process, which is actually designing all the specifics of that segment. The lighting fixtures, the landscaping, the bike lane configurations, the sidewalks, all those design elements would be nailed down to the civil design process. That process will involve additional citizen input from just citizens at large, as well as the adjoining property owners. So it'll be a citizen engagement process to help drive that design. Once that design is completed, then we would then seek CIP funding to implement it. So that's kind of phase one. Eventually, we'll get to the downtown, right? And that's when the decision will have to be made, option A, option B. When will that happen? You know, it's probably, you know, I think staff would want to finish the freeway segment first, probably a couple years to do that before we get to downtown. In the meanwhile, what we would like to do for both the downtown and the freeway is build these signs. We would like to, first phase, do an entryway sign on the downtown to build some kind of interest there, right? We think it's a beautiful sign, links back to the Neon Sign Park, and then something on the east end too to welcome visitors and residents into that corridor. So that'll probably happen concurrent with the freeway segment, but that's how we envision this process working its way through full implementation, through a multi-year process, which on each step, nothing gets built unless council approves the CIP funding for that segment.
And Madam Mayor, if I can just build on what Mr. Tice was outlining there, I think it's important for everybody to recognize that this is nothing more than concepts at this point. It's a report that ultimately outlines options when the city elects to move into a capital improvement project. And so it serves as a bit of the basis for us as we put our design procurement documents out and the like, and will help drive. But as Mr. Tice has pointed out, there will be a public engagement process that happens on each segment of this. And we recognize staff certainly heard the feedback by our residents, good and bad, when we initially issued these, the initial concepts. And it really drove the outcome that it brings us here this evening. And so at the end of the day, this is really about just setting a vision, if you will. It's not about project. This does not drive a project timeline. It does not drive the funding that's going to be necessary to build these projects, but it begins to incorporate much of the feedback that we heard when we went through our stakeholder process. And I believe that it also incorporates some of the vision that we understood that elected bodies were wanting us to achieve on this particular corridor.
Thank you for clarifying that.
So I feel I was a little remiss at explaining exactly how that works. The avatar was talking, but when it's on the website, you'll be able to ask that avatar questions, and it'll answer whatever question you ask.
Okay.
And it can even decide if you're in a good mood or a bad mood, and answer accordingly.
We have to test that, Matt.
You don't seem to be in a good mood today.
Must be Monday.
So we have a longer demo that explains more, but I
Right.
didn't feel like tonight was the right time to show it.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you very much. And any other comments, questions from Bob? Go ahead.
I have a question and a comment. Will the planning board have any authority to dismiss part of this, or?
The planning commission, when they hear this on Thursday, is going to get essentially the same presentation that we just gave, and they already have access to the DCR in their agenda packet. But their role is to hold a public hearing and make a recommendation to council. So they could make a recommendation to council to adopt with some amount of changes. So the answer is yes. But council is the final deciding authority
Okay.
on what changes will or won't be made to the plan.
Okay, and just to make a statement, and I'm not really looking for an answer on this, but the last time we visited this, many people thought they were hearing that we're going to reduce the lanes in the downtown area, and we got probably the biggest outcry that I've ever heard. I got told by numerous people, no way, no how. And then after we met with everybody again, I thought we very clearly gave a message that there's no way 2 lanes and a turn lane in that section of Florence Boulevard will survive. And I thought we were very clear on that, to the point I thought it was off the table. Many of the people that complained about the possibility of us doing that, they're still talking about it. And my response back to them has been, no, I think we told everybody concerned loud and clear that wouldn't cut it, and so I don't think you'll see or hear from that again. So I was wrong, because here we are, and I'm afraid those same people are going to be in an uproar again about, here they go, they're trying it again, the city's trying to do this. I don't know what the answer to that is. I will still express my opinion that I'm not for that, and I'll never support that. But I think all of us are going to hear it again. That here they go again. They want to reduce the lanes on Florence Boulevard. So I don't know. I'm not asking at this point that it be dropped or a statement be made, but I think we all better be ready for that, because I think we're going to hear it all over again.
Already have.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yes, so, thanks, Bob, for that. But one thing about this is it's been confused a lot with the lane narrowing and the entire project. And the project's so much larger than the lane narrowing. And without getting into that tonight, what we need to focus on is, Councilmember Edwards and I thought that we had already kind of decided, not just to, we just talked about it, but to start on that end. So then we can see how it's going to look, how it's going to beautify the city before we get to this, I would say, more controversial part. And maybe we come up with a better idea, you know, because I don't want to take the fact that you said if we don't narrow these lanes, we can't have art. You didn't say that, but you said it would be less art. But I find it hard. We can put art anywhere, and art is very subjective. And I don't know how far we want to get into this tonight, but like the trees on this plan look great on the plan. But in real life, I'm like, man, are we going to be able to take care of these? Are we going to be able to water them? You know, we have a hard time, not because of our city, but because of our climate, because of where we're situated about those. But I've seen a lot of neat things with metal trees, art, gabion boxes full of rocks, you know, stuff like that. We can still have decorative parts that is really going to make our city more attractive and know that we care about this community, other than just putting plants and trees. And plus the cost of maintaining that over the years. We still need to have some, without a doubt, but I think we should explore that more. And I know we're going to go down that path. And back to my first comment, is it needs to be made clear, I think on Thursday and then on the 7th of April when we're here, that we are not deciding on the lane concept at that point. We are just deciding to, hey, let's start beautifying our city and our main thoroughfare, and let's be proud of what we're going to do. You know, so I think that's the message that we need to be sending, that we are not making that decision. And let's face it, anytime soon. It's not going to be a year or 2 years, most likely, right? But I hope that we get started very soon on the east end of the project. I mean, we've been talking about it for 4 years now. So I'm excited about it. I mean, I want to see it, and that's what people are asking for, is for that. And then, I mean, if you want my opinion, I'm going to give it because I'm sitting here. And maybe we can look at lanes, putting 5 lanes, but maybe we can narrow the lane. I don't know. I know you said 11.6, and that's pretty standard lane, but is there room to make lanes smaller so we can have because bike lanes is what I'm going for. I think that's going to be key for this. I love the bike lanes on the east end, and I think if you've never ridden your bike down Florence Boulevard, you don't want to ride in those bike lanes because it's terrifying. You want to ride on the sidewalk, which is not legal, but, you know, safety. And then on the signs I love, but on the other end, like the historic downtown, just the personal concern is that we dedicated that as Erdman Plaza a couple years ago, and the family's still around, and I just hope we, you know, consider that somehow to keep that spirit going there. You know, I think they would appreciate that. And maybe put historic downtown on the sign, but I think the neon signs are great. I think they'll be great gateways to that, and like the stamped asphalt in the middle of the road, I think that looks, hopefully it's not very expensive, but it looks expensive, you know, it looks nice and really separates it. So I have more on here too, but I think that's enough. I'm passionate about it, but I just think it's important to send the message that we're just starting the design concept, starting at the east end, and we're not making that lane decision, because it's been confused by a lot of people that once we decide this, then we're just going to 3 lanes, and that's not a popular decision from people I've talked to. So, with that, Mayor, thank you for allowing me my time.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Matt.
I have some comments, Mayor. Yeah, I agree with everything that Matt said. I won't support a narrowing in that lane deal. I would like to keep it at 5 lanes at this point, unless something changes in the future. Like you said, from the outreach I've done in the community, no one's in support of narrowing of those lanes. I think we can make it beautiful without narrowing them. Artwork, when we put in artwork and stuff like that, I'd like to focus on Casa Grande history as opposed to Arizona history to make it central to our community. That was one thing I thought of while we're talking about artwork and stuff in the downtown area. The other thing, the Casa Grande sign, while it looks beautiful on pictures and at nighttime, I'm worried about the backdrop because it is white and we live in a very sunny community and it's bright white, so we need some kind of backdrop behind that Casa Grande sign to make that pop, whether it's a brick wall, whether it's landscaping, whether it's something to make that white Casa, if this is the concept you're going with. I know there's more we can change in the future and stuff like that, but I was just concerned about the daytime appearance of that Casa Grande sign, and we got a lot of daytime in Arizona. So, and I also like the centered line stamped And downtown, that whole idea of having the center lanes, that beautiful, if it doesn't cost too much, I agree that those little touches make a big difference in aesthetics. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you. Anyone else over here? Well, good, and I think your point is very important. Making sure that we're getting the messaging out correctly, on where we are. These are just concepts. It's been, a long time coming that we are at this stage. There's been a lot that's gone into this. There has been input, and there are a lot of people that felt the other way. I know many of us hear those that are against it, but I do hear people that are for it too. I struggle with narrowing it a little bit just because I know it's concern and it's, so I'm not going to make that decision as of today. But I understand your point, Councilmember Huddleston, as far as at this point, you're against it, but we just don't know. Maybe I'm just keeping an open mind to if we start on the east side, come across, and then to the midtown and see where we are with the downtown to see how we can all tie together. But we have to remember that the community is changing, so we have to look at new ways and new things, and people that are coming into our community. And I witness it, the people that are riding their bikes downtown to those bars, they're riding it to the neon, friends of mine that live on, south of Florence Boulevard. They're riding their bikes and walking to Casa Collective. And so we might not do that. That's not, I don't know if I would, but there are people that are. And we had the woman that came here the other day that talked about that neighborhood over on Olive, of how they're trying to revitalize, and there's new families moving in because there are affordable homes there, and they're coming in and, changing up the homes and remodeling because they find it a charming area. So I want to be open-minded, and so I don't mind having that in there. And then we see, I'm not saying today that I would vote for that, but I like the idea of being open-minded and seeing where we are in 3, 4, 5 years when things start coming to the downtown area. A couple of these bars are coming in there. And I'm telling you, I witnessed, and Holly, you've witnessed people that are riding their bikes downtown and around that area, I'm sure too. So anyway, I don't have a problem keeping it in. And again, these are concepts. And I want to make sure that we as a city are sending the message of what this exactly is and how we are not voting on it. So we don't get the million of people calling in, not millions, but people calling in and sharing frustration. Let's tell them where we are in the process, and there's still three individual stages that they can get engaged and provide input. So I want to keep an open mind, but I appreciate all the hard work. I appreciate all the studies that you've done, and I appreciate all the community input because there have been, several, different meetings and things. So I just appreciate all that. So that's my.
Just one more comment. One of the things I had thought of too with narrowing down downtown, Casa Grande's a big truck community. We have farmers, we have our winter residents that come in here. They're driving their big trucks, or 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks. They're hauling in here with they want to visit downtown. We need to expand the parking. We need to have more parking, bigger areas. I mean, if we start condensing too much stuff, and I do appreciate the bike stuff because it will become a biking, walking community in the future. I believe it will be. But we also need to keep in mind that we have a big truck community here. And they don't want to go to some place that has narrowed down streets and everything is going to, I'm not taking my truck down there. It makes me nervous, not me personally, but I mean, the individuals that are driving down there, it might be like, oh, it's claustrophobic. So that's just another point I had.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Okay, so we'll close the study session. We have 15 minutes.
Well said. I hope people listen to it.
I know, but I talked to Larry about this before, you guys, about the messaging. And I'm glad you guys brought it up because we have to be We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, this evening. If you can please stand if you're willing and able. And is there anyone here from the Faith Alliance? Okay, so Anthony Edwards, and then followed by Matt Herman with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father God, we come to you, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for blessing us to be able to come together as a city council and meet, Father God. We pray, Father, that you be in our midst, Father. We pray, Father, that we walk in wisdom and knowledge of your word, Father. And that, Father, that all the things that we do and that we say, that all glory and honor will always be yours. We thank you, Lord, for our city. We thank you, Lord, for all of our leaders within our city. And we just pray, Father, that we continue to strive to do and be our very best for our great city. So we love you, Lord, and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much, Anthony. Okay, Gloria, if you can accept for the record that all the council members are here.
So noted.
Okay, for the minutes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move approval of the minutes of the City Council regular meeting for February 18th, 2025, and accept for the record the minutes of the Community Service Advisory Board meeting of February 27th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The claims is next.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve the list of claims for February the 12th through the 25th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. If there's any further discussion? Okay, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting agenda approval. Any changes, Larry, to the agenda?
Remind the council that we have an executive session if you'd like to have your reports prior to convening to the executive session.
Okay. Yes, so probably move to approve as amended. Or,
Yeah.
So, a
Okay.
motion to approve? Okay.
So, Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move to approve the meeting agenda with a change of moving item N before item M, so we have the reports before the executive session.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, so if we can, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So special presentations. We have these wonderful police officers here in front of us. Welcome, everyone.
Man. Up at the church, I said amen.
I, Roger Hill. I, Edgar Hill. I, Gabriel Peter Randall. I, Tanner Clegg. I, also.
Hi, Erin Cousins.
I, Joshua Allen.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the laws of the state of Arizona,
and the laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and defend the
Congratulations and welcome.
Congratulations.
And again, congratulations and welcome. We're so proud to have you represent our city. And I just wanted to thank all the family members that are here too, for just giving, the support. This is a tough role in our city, and we just appreciate really everything that you do protect all of us. So thank you again to you and your families. Okay, next item is the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Is there anything that council members would like to pull, or Larry or staff? No? Anyone from the public? Okay, so we'll move forward. There's a motion to approve.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, so Gloria, if we can have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin.
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Thank you, Gloria. Okay, public comments. If there's anyone that would like to come and address the city council, now's the time to do that. Would anyone like to come up? No. Hello. If you can state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Brad Workman, 928 North Brown Avenue, and I am not here to talk about the speeding. So you can pay attention. Let's get it. I'm here to support the passing or adoption of the proposed city ordinance to stop camping on the public property. I live right across the street from Carmen McNabb Park and have noticed more homeless walking up the street, yelling, screaming, walking in the alleyway, pulling out my bag of garbage and ripping it open and dumping it on the ground. So I get to do it twice now. If you have young children, there's a lot of things the city offers, but it makes it hard to do. Our library puts on a wonderful walk through the park. It's a story through the park, goes through Pert Park. Not going to happen. I would not bring my child to Pert Park in the condition it's in now. I actually didn't even know it was called Pert Park until recently. Everyone just referred to it as the homeless park. And from I hear from the past, it used to be a wonderful park. Had a lot of opportunities and things going on there. I just want to voice my concern about this. And I know I'm not the only one, but I just would like to see something done. And I'd like to thank our police captain for not sugarcoating it in the interviews. He kind of laid it out just as it is, and I appreciate that. So, just wanted to bring it to the attention of the council that the public is concerned. At least I am. I'm not speaking for the public, but I'm speaking for me. I have 4 young children, so we would love to use the parks. We would love to use the libraries. We would love to use all the things that we have in this city that are wonderful. We just need to make it safe and clean and everything else. So thank you for your time. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Anyone else? Okay, so we're J1. Oh, it has me on there. Okay, I just looked at it, I'm like, oh, I
That's
guess
you.
I'm on there. Well, no, and it looks like we have appointments to the Community Services Advisory Board, the reappointment of Darlene Moberly. I don't think Darlene is here. However, we do have Mr. Ricardo Villa. Ricardo, if you can stand up so they can see you, this is Ricardo, everyone. I just wanted to thank you for applying and your dedication and service to the commission. We're happy you're going to be able to join us, so thank you. So we'll go ahead and start with that one first, if I can get a motion to approve.
I move that, Mayor Fitzgibbon, I move that we approve of the reappointment of Angela Moberly, as well as the appointment of Ricardo Villa to the Community Service Advisory Board with terms to expire February 1st of 2020.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Welcome, Ricardo. We really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have the appointment of Kristen Keefe to the Arts and Culture Commission. I don't see Kristen here. So again, we want to thank Kristen for her dedication and willingness to serve on the commission. So if I can get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I can
Okay.
take a shortcut too.
So welcome, Kristen. Okay, K1, that's not me. That's
That would be me.
good.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The city of Casa Grande held a special bond election on November 8th of 2022 for the authorization of the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds of the city in the principal amount of $51 million to provide funds to design, acquire, improve, construct, reconstruct, and rehabilitate the streets, alleys, avenues, and highways, street lighting, traffic signal control systems, underground utility lines, landscape improvements, and related transit bicycle program improvements, including shared use paths and trails, and to acquire land and interests in land for transportation purposes of or within the city, except in industrial parks or industrial areas. This bond authorization passed by majority vote, and Resolution 5491 was approved by the Mayor and City Council November 28, 2022. The resolution being presented tonight is to be considered official intent as required by Section 1.150-2 of the Federal Treasury Regulations that will allow the city to reimburse expenditures made for approved streets and transit projects prior to the issuance of the applicable general obligation bond from bond proceeds. This reimbursement will include original expenditures of the streets and transit improvement projects, which are capital expenditures made within 60 days before and any time after the date of this resolution. The city is able to borrow at low tax interest rates if it follows certain federal tax law regulations. This resolution helps the city follow the federal tax law rules so that the city can, at the choice of the city, reimburse prior general fund expenditures from low interest rate bond funds. In addition, this resolution allows the city manager and finance to work with financial advisors to determine the optimum time to issue and sell the bonds. Should council adopt the resolution tonight, is council putting the city into debt? No. This resolution allows the city to reimburse prior city expenditures from a future sale of bonds. This resolution does not authorize the bond sale, and this resolution does not create a debt. This resolution gives the city flexibility on how it will pay for capital improvement projects, and determinations regarding the acceptable bond amounts, interest rates, and repayment terms will be approved by council with a separate resolution at a later time. Does approval of this resolution mean the city must sell $51 million of bonds? No. The city will work with its outside financial advisors to determine the amount of bonds that can fund the projects. The $51 million was the maximum amount approved by voters and is included in the reimbursement resolution to be conservative. Does approval of this resolution lock in the city to completing certain projects and not doing other projects? No. This resolution does not create any priorities among projects or restrict the city to only completing certain projects. This resolution enables the city to reimburse itself for project expenditures in compliance with federal tax laws and describes a variety of categories of projects that voters of the city approved. In attendance with us tonight, we have Zach Sakis, over here, who is a shareholder with Greenberg Trowrig. Zach provides bond counsel services to all types of Arizona political subdivisions, guiding them through the issuance and sale of bonds to pay for infrastructure and improvements. In addition to representing Arizona political subdivisions, Zach advises investment banks that underwrite municipal bonds and banks that acquire governmental obligations for their own portfolios. Zach has represented issuers, underwriters, and other transaction participants in a comprehensive variety of municipal and financing transactions. Zach is able to assist in answering any questions that you may have tonight regarding this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Oh,
It's just hard to believe it was in 2022. It seems like it was just yesterday this was approved, so thank you to the voters. But no, I don't think any questions, comments? Okay.
Nope.
So with that, we'll go ahead and move forward. If we can get a resolution number, please, Gloria?
Resolution number 5758, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, declaring for the purpose as of section 1.150-2 of the Federal Treasury Regulations, official intent to be reimbursed in connection with certain capital expenditures relating to streets and transit improvement projects.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move for approval of resolution number 5758.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, so Gloria, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon,
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Okay, K2, looks like it's you, Larry. Perfect.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Adriana Carpio Solis as city clerk pursuant to Article 4, Section 2 of the city charter. The city charter states the city manager shall, with the approval of the council, appoint an officer who will have the title of city clerk, who shall be responsible to the city manager, and who shall give notice of all council meetings, keep the journal of the council proceedings authenticated by his or her signature, and record in full in books kept for the purposes all ordinances and resolutions, and perform such other duties as shall be required by this charter or law. National recruitment was completed for the city clerk's position based on retirement of Gloria Leja. Upon the closing of the recruitment, an interviewing process was conducted, and we had 5 finalists. Through this process, Adriana was selected to fulfill the position. She currently serves as the deputy city clerk for the city of Maricopa since 2013. She received her Bachelor's of Arts degree from California State University of Los Angeles and has also obtained designations as certified municipal clerk, certified municipal election official, certified state of Arizona election official, and passport acceptance agent manager. She plans on starting on Monday, March 31st, and will spend a week with Gloria before she retires. Adriana is in the audience along with her husband. If you'd like to stand up.
Well, welcome, Adriana. No, thank you, and welcome. We're happy to have you, and you're almost a hometown person. You're close enough, Maricopa. So, but no, we look forward to you sharing your experiences with us. And of course, we're going to miss Gloria, but we welcome you. We look forward to that. Any other comments, questions? So, okay. Thank you very much. So, oh, we'd have to have a motion?
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I
Yes.
move to appoint Adriana Carpio Solis for the position of city clerk.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, so if we can, this is just a all in favor? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, welcome. It's official.
Congratulations.
Go celebrate, go celebrate. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have the reports before the executive session. So why don't we go ahead and start with you, Sean?
No reports for this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No reports.
Man,
You know,
they want to get this meeting going, I guess, right?
just real quick, don't
Real
forget,
quick.
March 29th, big day in the city of Casa Grande. We have, and Adriana at the city of Casa Grande, by the way. We have the Southwest Taco Fest, the second annual Southwest Taco Fest at Dave White from 3 to 9 p.m. And also, as a bonus this year, our annual plein air painting competition will be judged and displayed over at the Taco Fest at Dave White. So that'll be a really neat day. And then the next weekend, April 5th, is the Rotary Club of Casa Grande's annual Denim and Diamonds Scholarship Auction at Pinal County Fairgrounds. That's guaranteed to be a good time. And then we just got word on April 19th, the First American Credit Union will be sponsoring again the Youth Commission's annual Spring Day of Shredding right after Tax Day. So April 19th, First American Credit Union, 1001 North Pinal, Youth Commission Day of Shredding. We'll see you there.
Thank you. Okay, Becca?
I just wanted to say we had a chance to go to the police banquet and see some of the
Yeah.
amazing things that our officers are doing. And it's just, I'm always very inspired when I get to see that. And so I appreciate the invite and just being able to be there. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yes, you guys were there.
Yes.
Yeah, we let him, Rebecca, speak on that behalf.
You got
As we're
us.
waiting on the state of the city
got
from
us.
you.
I'm speaking for all
got
the guys up here
Thank you.
as well. They
Thank you.
forgot to mention that, but yeah, I'm speaking for you guys too.
Okay, Brett.
No reports.
Okay.
No
You were there
report.
too.
I was
Yeah,
there
I was there too.
No report,
You were
Mayor.
on a cruise, lucky you.
I was on a cruise.
We weren't. But no, and thank you, Chief. That was such a great event. So it's always nice to see the great things that our police officers are doing and your leadership
Yeah,
there.
the guest speaker was amazing.
Yes, yes, very much so. And definitely, it's the time of year where there's a lot of activities going on and more to come. Their CAC held their Night of Stars, which is their fundraiser for Promise for the Future. So that was a great event 2 weeks ago. The Casa Grande Union High School, I went to their band gala, and I don't know any of you, but I had band kids, and I was a band kid, and so, but it was such a great event. It was, at Vista Grande High School, and it was all of the schools throughout the city of Casa Grande. So there was over 700 musicians, and that were there from elementary school to high school and performed. And it was just, I just give so much credit to all of the band instructors. And, again, this is the arts. And, it's just so nice to see that these are strong programs in our city, and our schools have been award-winning bands, for years and years. So, so I just really appreciate everything that those band instructors do for our community. So attended on Saturday, the Little League opening day. Great, again. Thank you to Jeff Cardita. You're here today. And I just really want to thank you and your board and volunteers. Again, this is what a community is. And this is, community and children and parents and sponsors coming together and having a program that is just benefits all of us. And there were, I believe, let's see, you said 550 players and 46 teams. And so they had a parade of teams that came out, and it was just great to see from the age from 3 years old to 12 years old. And so, again, I when I talked to Jeff, I was like, oh, what league is your child in? He goes, none. I don't have anyone in the program. So again, the commitment, and I know I've been a volunteer for my kids and, for years, and I just really appreciate you stepping up and taking on that role, because this is something that's been strong in our community for years and years and years, and it was great to be there. Really, really good to be there, so thank you so much. And I threw the first pitch out, I had to cheat, and I went up. You cheated? I cheated, I went up a little bit, and, but the little girl, Zahara Valenzuela, she's a 5th grader at McCartney Ranch, and she caught my ball. And I was like, wow, you caught it. So anyway, so she was so excited.
She was very excited.
Right,
about
I
it,
didn't
yeah.
bounce it, that's why I cheated and went up a little bit, but she caught it, and she was so excited, so thank you again. But no, great event, thank you so much to all our coaches and all the many sponsors that help with that program. So, a couple other things, but the only one thing I want to go through, yes, the State of the City is this Wednesday, so for you that are in here and aren't aware, if you come to the Recreation Center, 1 o'clock is the State of the City, just give an update on where we were last year and where we're going 2025. All of us will be participating, the council are all, have some great video that are coming up here, so I'm looking forward to that. So just wanted to really thank our PIO team, has just done a great job, and all the staff on getting all of us the information for the State of the City. So really look forward to that. 1 o'clock at the Recreation Center, and then I think the program will start at about 1:30. It'll be finished by 2:30. So with that, I think that's it. We'll just go ahead and move forward and go into executive session.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Motion
Make a
to
motion
adjourn.
to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?